This young man was waiting for a bus when he noticed a man carelessly spitting in public while everyone else was wearing masks during the COVID-19 outbreak. Not wanting to create a scene, he chose to ignore it and looked away. However, when the same man boarded the bus, the driver asked him to wear a mask, explaining that the bus could be fined otherwise. Instead of cooperating, the man became angry, argued loudly, and even struck the driver. Seeing this, the young man could no longer stay silent. He approached the man, gently held him back, got off the bus with him, and politely apologized in an attempt to calm the situation. The man responded by repeatedly trying to hit him. Even so, the young man refused to fight back and simply avoided the punches. He continued apologizing and remained calm throughout the confrontation. Eventually, realizing he could not provoke a fight, the man turned around and left. The young man then returned to the bus. The passengers greeted him with applause and praised him for handling the situation so calmly. His name is John Woo. What most people do not know is that despite his young age, he is already a professional boxer. Inside the ring, John Woo is known for his powerful punches and serious attitude. Outside the ring, however, he is gentle, humble, and kind. John currently lives with his mother. Because of the pandemic, her coffee shop has lost many customers. She has fallen into debt and is struggling to pay rent, while the landlord continues charging the same amount despite the difficult circumstances. Meanwhile, John Woo is competing in a professional boxing tournament as a rising rookie. In his first match, he landed a strong punch to his opponent's body and secured the victory. In the next round, he knocked out his opponent with a single punch. During another match, John carefully avoided incoming attacks before delivering a powerful counterpunch that ended the fight immediately. After winning, he quickly checked on his opponent to make sure he was alright. Jian eventually advanced to the tournament finals. His final opponent was Wu Jin. Before the match, Wu Jin's coach warned him to be extremely careful of John Woo's dangerous left hook. However, Wu Jin was confident in his abilities and took pride in being an undefeated former Marine. The match began with both fighters showing respect to one another before testing each other's defenses. Wu Jin pressed forward aggressively and launched a series of attacks. Jian skillfully avoided the strikes and then fired a powerful left hook toward Wu Jin's side, sending him to the canvas. Wu Jin got back up and shouted loudly, refusing to give up. As the fight continued, Wu Jin imagined himself blocking Jian's left hook and landing a knockout punch that would send Jian crashing to the floor. But that scene existed only in his imagination. In reality, Jian stepped forward and unleashed his signature left hook. The punch connected cleanly and knocked Wu Jin down. With that decisive blow, Jian Wu won the championship. After the match, Wu Jin received a cold and indifferent reaction from his coach. Feeling disappointed, Wu Jin suggested going out to eat to lift his mood. The coach reminded him that the epidemic was still ongoing. He then handed Wu Jin some money and told him to go by himself. As Wu Jin stepped outside, he was surprised to see Jian waiting for him. Jian smiled and invited Wu Jin to join him for a pork belly meal. Wu Jin was hungry, but he pretended to refuse the invitation because he was worried John Woo might embarrass him. However, after seeing Jian's sincere attitude, he decided to go along. Wu Jin suggested eating beef tenderloin since Jian Woo had just received a bonus of 10 million won. Jian refused, explaining that he needed to give most of the money to his mother to help pay the rent. No matter how hard Wu Jin tried to persuade him, Jian would not spend extra money. In the end, Wu Jin contributed some of his own money so they could enjoy grilled beef together. When they arrived at the restaurant, Wu Jin asked if Jian only fought using his left hand. Jian replied that his right hand was actually stronger, but he had not needed to use it yet. While grilling the meat, Wu Jin tried to turn it over. Jian stopped him and explained that he had once worked part-time at a buffet restaurant. According to him, the meat needed about 30 more seconds before it would taste perfect. As they ate, Jian shared that his family had gone through financial hardship. Because of this, he had worked many jobs to help support his mother. The two began opening up to each other about their family situations. Later, Wu Jin discovered that Jian was 2 years younger than him and immediately tried to act like an older brother. However, they soon learned that both of them had served in the Marine Corps. Wu Jin was surprised to find out that Jian had joined before him and was technically his senior. He quickly greeted Jian with respect. The two happily talked about their military experiences and shared many memories. Their friendship grew stronger, even though they had recently been rivals in the ring. Afterward, Jian returned to his mother's coffee shop. When he arrived, his mother was on the phone trying to collect money that someone owed her. As soon as she saw Jian, she ended the call. She warmly hugged him and congratulated him on winning the championship. Jian then handed over the prize money he had received and told her to use it to pay the rent. His mother initially refused to accept it. However, Jian told her that he already understood how difficult things had been for her. Moved by his words, she accepted the money and jokingly promised to pay him back with interest someday. The two closed the shop and happily headed home together. For Jian, spending Spending time with his mother was one of life's greatest blessings, but he had no idea that trouble was already approaching. Meanwhile, a man named Mang Gil was operating a large loan business. His company specialized in sophisticated financial schemes. Taking advantage of the economic struggles caused by the COVID-19 pandemic, he targeted people facing financial difficulties. Mang Gil sent his sales teams to stores and small businesses throughout the city. The representatives introduced themselves as employees of Smile Capital. They claimed to be associated with government-backed programs designed to help people recover from the effects of the pandemic. They offered loans with interest rates that appeared lower than those of traditional banks. Trusting these promises, many shop owners agreed to sign the contracts. One day, John Woo's mother was approached by Jun Man, a loyal subordinate of Mang Gil. Using smooth and convincing sales tactics, he encouraged her to take out a loan. Believing the offer would help her overcome her financial problems, she agreed to sign the contract. What she did not realize was that the agreement contained hidden clauses designed to benefit the company rather than the borrower. In Seoul, there was a large building project that remained unfinished. Construction had been suspended multiple times due to the impact of the COVID-19 pandemic. As a result, the management company eventually went bankrupt. The abandoned structure attracted widespread public attention because many people believed it posed a safety risk to the city. Later, the project was purchased by the Link Group. At that time, the conglomerate's eldest son was negotiating with a bank director to secure funding and transform the building into a luxury hotel. A congressman representing the city's mayor also became involved and pushed for the project to move forward. Soon after, Mang Gil, the director of a loan company, arrived at the meeting. He explained that the congressman had introduced him to the project. Mang Gil offered to invest the remaining 100 billion won needed for construction. In exchange, he wanted permission to build a casino on the top floor and a bar in the basement. Later, Mang Gil and his associates held a celebration to thank the congressman for helping him gain access to the project. During the gathering, the congressman received a phone call from the mayor. After the call ended, he announced that the mayor had approved the casino proposal. Mang Gil then presented the congressman with several gold turtle statues weighing a total of 3.7 kilograms. The congressman was delighted by the valuable gift and repeatedly thanked Mang Gil. What none of them realized was that their entire exchange had been secretly recorded by a hidden camera. Meanwhile, Jian Woo headed to the boxing gym for training. However, the gym announced that it would be closed for a week because several members had tested positive for COVID-19. Disappointed, Jian called his new friend, Woo Jin. Woo Jin invited him to hang out instead. While making his way there, Jian witnessed a young person chasing and attacking a man. Curious and concerned, he followed them. When he arrived, he saw the man lying motionless on the ground after the confrontation. Believing something was wrong, Jian chased after the attacker. Suddenly, the stranger used a stun device on him. Jian collapsed to the ground. To his surprise, the attacker was actually a young woman. She asked John why he had been following her. According to her, the man on the ground was a scammer who had deceived innocent people. She warned Jian not to interfere and then walked away. Her name was Haeyeon-ju. She was the adopted granddaughter of Chairman Choi. Chairman Choi was an extremely wealthy man, but he was also known for his generosity. He often provided interest-free loans to people who could not afford medical treatment. Helping those in need brought him great satisfaction. Haeyeon-ju was responsible for investigating individuals who pretended to be sick in order to take advantage of Chairman Choi's kindness. One day, she asked him how long he intended to continue offering interest-free loans. Chairman Choi replied that helping people receive medical treatment was reward enough for him. To him, that was the greatest return he could ever receive. Chairman Choi also knew that Haeyeon-ju was fearless and often confronted dangerous people by herself. Concerned for her safety, he contacted the director of a security company and requested a bodyguard to protect her. Meanwhile, Jian-woo's mother was preparing to close her coffee shop. At that moment, Junmin arrived. He informed her that she was required to pay a renewal fee equal to 10% of the loan amount within 24 hours of signing the contract. He also claimed that the amount she now owed had already reached 48 million won. Jian's mother was shocked by the demand. She protested and threatened to call the police. After hearing this, Junmin stepped outside. As soon as Jian's mother picked up the phone, a group of thugs suddenly burst into the store. They began smashing furniture and destroying property. When Jian learned what was happening, he rushed back to the shop in anger. Upon arriving, he saw his mother being assaulted while several thugs blocked his path. Without hesitation, Jian fought his way through them. Using his boxing skills, he quickly knocked down one attacker after another and forced his way inside. Seeing all of his men defeated, Junmin began to panic. John rushed to his mother's side and asked if she was all right. Then he grabbed Junmin by the collar. At that moment, Mang Gil entered the store. He calmly stated that Jian's mother owed money to his company. He demanded that Jian repay the debt. Jian responded by insisting that the damage to the store should be compensated first. In response, Mang Gil ordered his strongest subordinate to step forward. The man's name was Bom. He was huge, muscular, and seemed almost immune to pain. No matter how many punches Jian landed, Bom barely reacted. Bom then charged forward and slammed Jian with a powerful headbutt, knocking him down. However, Jian got back up and fought back fiercely, eventually making Bom's nose bleed. Enraged, Bom grabbed Jian by the neck and launched a brutal attack. The beating left Jian collapsed on the ground. Watching the fight, Mangil smiled. He told Jian that he admired people with courage. Then he made an unexpected offer. Mangil asked Jian if he would consider working for him. Jianwu responded by spitting directly in Mangil's face. Furious, Mangil pulled out a knife and slashed a line across one side of Jian's face. Later, Jian's mother rushed him to the hospital, where doctors stitched up the wound. The doctor explained that surgery could reduce the appearance of the scar. However, Jian refused because he could not afford the procedure. Afterward, Jian told Wu Jin that the injury required 30 stitches. Wu Jin immediately suggested reporting the incident to the police, but Jian remembered Mangil's warning. Mangil had threatened that if Jian went to the authorities, his mother would be in danger. Because of that threat, Jian felt forced to remain silent. To make matters worse, he discovered a hidden clause in his mother's loan contract. According to the agreement, the debt and accumulated interest had already risen to 101 million won. The amount would continue increasing if it was not paid quickly. Jian admitted that his family no longer had enough money to handle the situation. Wanting to cheer him up, Wu Jin invited him out for a meal. Before leaving, Jian called his mother and explained that they had fallen victim to professional scammers. He tried his best to comfort her and promised that he would find a solution. Later, Jian overheard Wu Jin calling people and asking for financial help on his behalf. Hearing this made Jian deeply emotional. Soon after, Wu Jin took Jian to meet a former employer who specialized in lending money. Jian explained that his family had been deceived by Smile Capital and now needed 101 million won to settle the debt. The lender agreed to provide the money with a 1% interest rate for 1 year. However, there was one condition. Both Jian and Wu Jin would have to work under him and help recover unpaid debts. The man explained that debt collection had become a booming business during the COVID-19 pandemic. After hearing this proposal, Jian immediately stood up. He told Wu Jin that he wanted no part in it. In his eyes, intimidating struggling people was not something a fighter should do. The lender warned him that if he failed to repay Smile Capital, the consequences could be severe. Even so, Jian refused the offer. Wu Jin returned the money and left alongside him. Before leaving, he boldly stared down his former boss. Determined to find another solution, Wu Jin contacted the director of a security company. The two friends immediately went to meet him. The director was also a former Marine and happened to be one of Wu Jin's seniors. He told them about a wealthy man named Chairman Choi who was searching for a bodyguard. Many applicants had already been considered, but none had met the requirements. The director wanted to recommend Jian and Wu Jin for the position. When Wu Jin mentioned that they were actually looking for financial help, the director smiled. He explained that Chairman Choi was extremely wealthy and known for helping others. He suggested that they meet him first. Meanwhile, Chairman Choi had already ordered an investigation into Jian Wu's background. After reviewing the report, he praised Jian for appearing honest, hardworking, and trustworthy. He then reviewed Wu Jin's profile as well and considered hiring both men. Jian and Wu Jin later visited a sushi restaurant where Chairman Choi was waiting. However, the restaurant owner allowed only Jian to meet the chairman privately. During their conversation, Chairman Choi asked about the scar on Jian's face. Jian explained that he had received the injury while protecting his mother from loan company enforcers. Chairman Choi revealed that he had once worked in the lending business himself. However, he had left that life behind many years ago. Now, he dedicated his wealth to helping people who could not afford medical treatment by providing interest-free loans. He explained that he was searching for a reliable person to protect his adopted niece. Jian was relieved to learn that the job did not involve collecting debts. Chairman Choi told him that he had carefully reviewed his background before making the offer. He then shared the personal reasons that inspired him to help struggling people through financial support. Listening to his story, Jian became convinced that Chairman Choi was a genuinely kind and generous man. After the meeting, Jian walked outside and told Wu Jin that things seemed to have gone well. The two friends returned to Jian's home and had dinner with his mother. Suddenly, there was a knock at the door. To their surprise, it was Chairman Choi's driver. The driver handed Jian a bag containing 100 million won. He explained that it was an advance payment covering 2 years of salary. The driver then instructed Jian to report for work the next morning at 10 o'clock. After the driver left, Jian became overwhelmed with emotion. Holding the money in his hands, he burst into tears. For the first time in a long while, he felt that someone had truly come to help him. Jian then brought the money inside and told his mother everything that had happened. His mother apologized, believing that her problems had damaged his future as a professional fighter. Jian comforted her and assured her that none of it was her fault. He also expressed his gratitude to Wu Jin for standing by him through everything. The next morning at 10 o'clock, Jian headed out to meet Chairman Choi and officially begin his new job. Wu Jin wanted to join Jian and work alongside him. When they met Chairman Choi, both of them greeted him respectfully. Wu Jin did his best to demonstrate his abilities and then asked for permission to work together with Jian. Since Chairman Choi had already reviewed Wu Jin's background, he agreed to consider him. However, he explained that he was only responsible for paying the salary. The final decision would be made by his niece, Heon-je. Both young men would need to pass an interview with her before they could be hired. Jian asked what would happen if they failed the interview. Chairman Choi replied that they would have to repay the money he had already given them. Jian became nervous and explained that he had already used the money to pay off his family's debt. Chairman Choi calmly advised them to stay confident and believe in themselves. He then handed Jian a bank card and told the two friends to enjoy a good lunch. Smiling, Chairman Choi added that they should always support each other the way they did now. Later, the two waited in a study room to meet Haeonju. While waiting, Woojin picked up a book from a shelf. To his surprise, he found bundles of cash hidden inside. Curious, he checked another book and discovered that it was also filled with money. The two quickly returned everything to its proper place. While they waited, Jian told Woojin that he had actually met Haeonju before. He explained how he had chased her after witnessing a confrontation and ended up being stunned by her. A short time later, Haeonju arrived. She was unhappy about Chairman Choi's decision to hire bodyguards for her. As soon as the two young men greeted her, she bluntly stated that she did not need protection. Without hesitation, she told them to leave. Her harsh attitude offended Woojin, who immediately turned around and walked out. Jian, however, remained behind. Knowing how important the opportunity was, he knelt down and pleaded with her. He explained that he desperately needed the job. His mother had been deceived by Smile Capital, and the debt had grown to more than 100 million won. Chairman Choi had already paid him 2 years of salary in advance, so he could settle the debt. If he lost the job now, he had no idea how he would ever repay that money. At the same time, Haeonju was investigating the illegal activities connected to Smile Capital. After hearing Jian's story, she told him to stand up. She then invited both Jian and Woojin to join her for a meal. During lunch, Haeonju explained the case she was working on. The main suspect was a man named Jam Yong. According to her investigation, he had claimed that his mother needed surgery and borrowed money from Chairman Choi before disappearing. As she looked deeper into the case, she discovered that Jam Yong and his accomplices had been impersonating homeless people. They stole identification cards from vulnerable individuals and used those identities to obtain loans from various lenders. Haeonju eventually learned that the group was working under the direction of Jun Min, an associate connected to Smile Capital. Jian immediately recognized Jun Min as the same man who had come to his mother's coffee shop demanding payment. Haeonju then assigned Jian and Woojin a task. She wanted them to find out how many identification cards the scammers had stolen. However, she gave them a strict warning. No matter what happened, they were not allowed to reveal themselves. If they interfered, the entire operation could be ruined. That night, Jam Yong and his accomplices disguised themselves and went out to target homeless people. As the group got into a vehicle, Haeonju quietly followed them in her car. Jian and Woojin followed from a distance. Soon, Jam Yong approached a group of homeless individuals. He falsely claimed to represent a city-funded organization that helped homeless citizens. He promised that anyone who joined would receive a monthly allowance. All they needed to do was show their identification card and register. He also claimed that the money would be distributed the following week. One by one, several people fell for the scam and handed over their identification cards. The group then approached an elderly man. After hearing only a few words, the old man realized that he had been deceived by them before. He immediately demanded that his identification card be returned. Instead of leaving, the scammers began attacking him. Seeing this, Jian wanted to step in. Woojin reminded him of Haeonju's warning and tried to stop him. But when Jian saw blood running from the old man's head, he could no longer stand by and watch. He rushed forward and knocked the attackers away from the elderly man. Moments later, both Jian and Woojin were standing face to face with the scammers. When Jam Yong noticed the red cat hat Jian was wearing, he panicked and ran away. John quickly said that the old man needed medical help immediately. He called an ambulance and then contacted Haeonju to explain what had happened. As soon as she heard the news, she became furious. Despite Jian's attempts to explain, she ended the call. Woojin then called her back and begged for a chance to apologize. Haeonju replied that the operation had already been ruined. Woojin asked for just 5 minutes to explain everything. After a moment of silence, Haeonju told them to meet her at a bookstore. The two immediately headed there. Haeonju explained that Jian and Woojin had already confronted Jam Yong. Because of that, the scammers now knew their faces. For this reason, she said she could no longer hire them. Woojin quickly argued that he had been wearing a hoodie and that it would be difficult for anyone to identify him. The discussion became increasingly heated. Feeling overwhelmed, Jian stepped in and asked everyone to calm down. He then showed Haeonju the scar on his face. Jian explained that the director of Smile Capital had given him that scar. He said that if he had ignored the injured homeless man and left him to suffer, he would have felt no different from the people who caused such harm. After hearing his words, the conversation came to an end. The two friends gathered their belongings and prepared to leave. Outside, Woojin tried to stay positive. He told Jian that they would simply find other jobs if necessary. Just then, both of their phones received a text message. The message was from Haeonju. She apologized for her earlier reaction and asked them to meet her at the office the next morning at 10 o'clock. Overjoyed, Jian and Woojin celebrated together. Meanwhile, Jam Yong reported the incident to Jun Min from Smile Capital. He explained that someone had been following them while they were targeting homeless people. Jam Yong also admitted that he had previously scammed money from others and had recently been pursued by a man wearing a red cat hat while collecting debts. He pointed out that the same distinctive hat had been worn by the two men he encountered at the bookstore. At that moment, Heon-ju, Jian, and Woo Jin were inside the bookstore reviewing information about the scammers. While checking the security cameras, Heon-ju noticed Jam Yong and Jun Min approaching the building. She immediately asked the others how they had been discovered. Without wasting time, she locked the bookstore doors and switched off all visible devices. Outside, Jun Min shined a flashlight through the windows but could not see anyone. He then ordered Jam Yong to kick the door. After staring at the security camera for a moment, the two men eventually left. Once the danger had passed, the trio began discussing how their location had been exposed. They considered several possibilities. Then Jian suddenly remembered something. He suggested that the scammers may have recognized Heon-jeon's red cat hat. After all, when Jian had first encountered her and been stunned by her device, that hat had stood out in his memory. The others agreed that the explanation made sense. A short time later, Chairman Choi arrived at the bookstore. He learned that they had secretly followed Jam Yong in an attempt to catch him. This upset him because he had specifically forbidden such actions due to the risks involved. Heon-ju repeatedly defended her decision. During the conversation, she mentioned Jian's facial scar. Chairman Choi was shocked when he finally saw it clearly. He immediately asked Jian who had caused the injury. Jian replied that the scar had been inflicted by the director of Smile Capital. Chairman Choi then asked for the man's name. Unfortunately, Jian did not know it. However, he remembered one important detail. The man also had a long scar across his cheek. After hearing that description, Chairman Choi became unusually quiet. He told the three young people to go home and rest. Afterward, he privately instructed his driver to investigate whether the director of Smile Capital was actually Mang Gil. Meanwhile, the recent mission had brought Heon-ju, Jian, and Woo Jin much closer together. The three went out for a barbecue meal. During dinner, Heon-ju shared more about her past. She explained that she was not related to Chairman Choi by blood. As a child, she had lived in an orphanage supported by him. When she turned 17, Chairman Choi officially adopted her. Later that night, Chairman Choi received a call from his driver. The driver reported that his investigation had confirmed that Mang Gil was indeed the director of Smile Capital. The news brought back painful memories. Years earlier, Chairman Choi had decided to shut down the lending business he had once operated. Among the employees who lost their jobs during that closure was Mang Gil. That same evening, Chairman Choi received another urgent phone call. A security guard reported that intruders had broken into his office. Chairman Choi immediately drove to the building. When he arrived, he discovered that the intruders were Bomb and a skilled locksmith. After opening the safe, they found large amounts of gold and numerous promissory notes worth enormous sums of money. Chairman Choi entered the office alone. Despite his age, he quickly overwhelmed both intruders and knocked them down. He demanded to know who had sent them. Before he could get an answer, Mang Gil suddenly appeared. Without warning, he stabbed Chairman Choi. Even after being wounded, Chairman Choi pulled out a knife and fought back. The struggle continued as both men exchanged attacks. During the fight, Chairman Choi managed to slash Mang Gil across the face. At that moment, Bomb rushed in to assist his boss. Using his immense strength, he grabbed Chairman Choi and hurled him through a window. Chairman Choi fell from a great height to the ground below. Believing the fight was over, Mang Gil and his men gathered the valuables from the office. They then poured gasoline throughout the room and set the place on fire. However, when Bomb looked down from above, he could no longer see Chairman Choi anywhere. Mang Gil then set fire to the office in an attempt to destroy all evidence connected to the incident. Meanwhile, Chairman Choi warned his adopted niece, Heon-ju, to stay away from Mang Gil and his associates. He told her that they were dangerous people capable of terrible crimes. Concerned for her safety, he advised her to relocate the bookstore to a different location. Chairman Choi admitted that he was no longer young and did not have the strength to personally confront people like Mang Gil. At the same time, Mang Gil and his subordinate, Jam Yong, arranged a meeting with Director Hong, the heir of a powerful business family. Director Hong arrived with his cousin, Officer Kyung, who worked in law enforcement. Because the Hong family possessed enormous influence and strong connections within government agencies, Mang Gil instructed Jam Yong to remain calm regardless of what happened during the meeting. Once everyone was seated, Director Hong brought out several bottles of strong liquor. He and Officer Kyung challenged Mang Gil to a drinking contest. The two men treated the challenge as a test of strength and pride. Glass after glass was poured as they competed to see who could endure the most. During the gathering, Director Hong and Officer Kyung repeatedly mocked Smile Capital and made provocative remarks. Their comments angered Mang Gil and Jam Yong, but both men forced themselves to remain calm. Eventually, Director Hong revealed that his group had already secured the 100 billion won needed for the hotel project. Because of this, he no longer wanted Mang Gil's investment. He also rejected the proposal to build a casino inside the hotel. Director Hong understood that Mang Gil's true goal was to use the family's reputation to operate a legal gambling business. He warned Mang Gil not to exploit the Hong family's name for personal gain. Then he openly mocked the scar on Mang Gil's face. Although furious, Mang Gil concealed his anger and waited for an opportunity to retaliate. After the meeting ended, he decided that Director Hong would pay for the humiliation. Mong-gil ordered Jam Young to find a way to destroy the reputation of the Link Group heir. Not long afterward, Director Hong drove his luxury sports car to a private garage for cleaning. A worker secretly informed Jam Young about his location. Soon, Director Hong was trapped inside the facility by a group of criminals. He was beaten, humiliated, and forced into a desperate situation. Jam Young and Bomb eventually approached him. Director Hong, terrified by the situation, knelt and pleaded for mercy. Jam Young reminded him that he should never have disrespected Mong-gil. The intimidation continued as they pressured him to obey their demands. After enduring enough suffering, Director Hong finally gave in. The incident was recorded and later shown to Mong-gil. Satisfied, Mong-gil left with Bomb and traveled to a hidden location where a large amount of gold was being stored. The gold had been melted down and hidden after being stolen from Chairman Choi's office. Mong-gil told Bomb that if their plans ever failed, they would flee to Vietnam together and live comfortably for the rest of their lives. Bomb expressed gratitude and loyalty toward Mong-gil for taking care of him over the years. Meanwhile, Heyeon-ju, Jian-woo, and Woo-jin continued investigating Jam Young. The three traveled to a location where they expected him to appear. However, as soon as the criminals spotted Heyeon-ju's vehicle, they realized they were being watched. They immediately contacted Jun-min and informed him. The criminals then pretended to leave in order to lure the trio into a trap near a homeless shelter. Just as before, Jian and Woo-jin followed them. Suddenly, Jam Young called out and told them to stop hiding. At the same time, Heyeon-ju noticed multiple vehicles arriving at the scene. Groups of armed thugs stepped out and moved into the tunnel area. Realizing that Jian and Woo-jin were in danger, Heyeon-ju immediately called Chairman Choi for help. After hearing the situation, Chairman Choi contacted one of his former associates and requested assistance. Meanwhile, dozens of thugs advanced from both directions and surrounded Jian and Woo-jin. Jian removed his mask and prepared to fight. When Jun-min saw him, he immediately recognized him as the son of the coffee shop owner who had resisted their collection efforts. A fierce fight broke out. Jian and Woo-jin battled their way through the attackers one by one. However, the criminals greatly outnumbered them. During the struggle, Woo-jin was struck in the head and collapsed. Seeing his friend fall, Jian fought even harder to protect him. At that moment, Heyeon-ju rushed into the fight carrying batons and a stun device. She managed to take down several attackers herself. Together, the three fought back against the overwhelming group. After a long and exhausting battle, they finally defeated the remaining thugs and escaped. Later that night, inside the house, Jian's mother was asleep. Suddenly, she heard noise coming from outside and woke up. At first, she thought her son had returned home from work. However, two thugs and Jam Young suddenly entered the house. They subdued her and attempted to take her away. Just then, a mysterious man appeared and knocked out one of the attackers. He immediately turned and took down the second thug as well. When Jam Young saw the skilled stranger, he quickly grabbed Jian's mother and tried to escape. The attacker who had been knocked down earlier attempted to fight back, but the mysterious man defeated him again and continued the pursuit. Realizing he could not get away, Jam Young shoved Jian's mother to the ground and fled. The mysterious man caught up to him and struck him with a knife. He then overpowered Jam Young and severely injured both of his legs, preventing him from escaping. Meanwhile, another man entered the tunnel where Jian and his friends had recently fought the thugs. When he arrived, he discovered that the situation had already been handled. As he was leaving, someone attempted to block his path. The man quickly dealt with the obstacle and continued on his way. These two mysterious rescuers were Yang Jung and Du Young. Both had once been trusted subordinates of Chairman Choi before retiring from active service. After the attack, Janwoo's mother was taken to Chairman Choi's residence for protection. Soon afterward, Jian, Woo-jin, and Heyeon-ju also arrived. When they met Chairman Choi, he scolded them for acting recklessly. He warned them not to involve themselves with dangerous people like Mong-gil and his organization. Chairman Choi also announced that Jian's mother would temporarily stay at his orphanage, where she would be much safer. Meanwhile, Mong-gil visited the hospital to check on his injured subordinates. The doctor informed him that Jam Young had suffered severe injuries to both legs. Jam Young explained that he had been attacked by an expert who was highly skilled with knives. He also mentioned that the weapon looked like a sashimi knife. After hearing this description, Mong-gil smiled knowingly and left the hospital. The mysterious attacker was Yang Jung, who now operated a sushi restaurant. He and Du Young had once been two of Chairman Choi's most trusted right-hand men. After Chairman Choi asked for their help, both men decided to step out of retirement. They were determined to help deal with Mong-gil and honor the people who had suffered because of him. Back at his company, Mong-gil gathered his three most trusted trusted subordinates. He informed them about the mysterious men who had attacked his people. Mang-gil revealed that years ago, Chairman Choi had employed 10 elite enforcers. After Chairman Choi's organization collapsed, most of those men had disappeared. However, 2 highly skilled veterans remained. According to Mang-gil, the person who injured Jam Yong was almost certainly one of those 2 men. Meanwhile, Chairman Choi's driver, Yang Jung and Du Young, sat together to plan their next move. They investigated the backgrounds of Mang-gil's key subordinates and discussed how to deal with each of them individually. Later, Yang Jung asked Chairman Choi what should be done with the large amount of money stored inside the bookstore. Chairman Choi replied that the money had to be moved immediately because the location had already been exposed. Yang Jung suggested assigning the task to Jian, Wu Jin, and Heon-jo. He pointed out that the 3 had already proven themselves by defeating a large group of attackers. Chairman Choi agreed with the idea. While the 3 friends were enjoying a meal prepared by Jian's mother, Heon-ju received a message from Chairman Choi. The instructions were simple. They were to go to the bookstore late the following night, collect all the money, and transport it to a secure location. That evening, the trio prepared for the task. They loaded supplies into 2 vehicles and headed toward the bookstore. After arriving, they entered the building and began preparing the money for transport. Unknown to them, one of Jam Yong's associates had secretly followed them while carrying a knife. Inside the bookstore, Hyun-ju carefully packed the money into large cardboard boxes. Meanwhile, Jian and Woo Jin headed to the storage area to retrieve a cart. While monitoring the security cameras, Hyun-ju noticed suspicious movement outside. A closer look revealed that Bomb had quietly entered the warehouse. Realizing something was wrong, she rushed toward the area. Before she could reach it, Jam Young's associate struck her from behind. She fell to the ground. Hyun-ju attempted to use her stun device to defend herself. However, the attacker grabbed it and turned it against her, causing her to lose consciousness. At the same time, Bomb entered the warehouse and confronted Jian and Woo Jin. Although Bomb was incredibly strong, he now had to face 2 skilled fighters at once. A fierce battle followed. After a long struggle, Jian and Woo Jin finally managed to bring Bomb down. Even after Bomb collapsed, Jian continued attacking him in a burst of anger. At that moment, the situation threatened to spiral out of control. Woo Jin stopped John Woo before he could lose control. The 2 then used zip ties to restrain Bomb. A short time later, Jam Yong's associate carried Bomb away from the area. Meanwhile, Heon-ju regained consciousness. She suddenly bit her captor hard on the back, causing him intense pain. The surprise attack forced him to let go and she fell to the ground. Heon-ju quickly grabbed a knife lying nearby and picked up a baton. Without hesitation, she confronted Jam Yong's associate. He underestimated her abilities and assumed she would be easy to overpower. Instead, Heon-ju used a series of precise and skillful moves to defeat him. After gaining control of the situation, she unlocked her restraints and then secured her attacker instead. The 3 friends regrouped and returned to the bookstore to continue moving the money. However, they soon discovered that their prisoner had escaped. After freeing himself, he contacted Mang-gil. At the time, Mang-gil was enjoying a night of entertainment. The injured man reported that he had been badly hurt and needed medical treatment. Mang-gil showed little concern for his condition. Instead, he ordered him to contact the rest of the organization and immediately deal with Jian Woo's group. Soon, a large group of criminals headed toward the bookstore. Realizing they had little time, Jian, Woo Jin, and Heon-ju hurriedly packed the money into cardboard boxes and loaded them into their vehicles. Once the first vehicle was full, Heon-ju remembered that there was still a safe upstairs containing a huge amount of money and valuables. She and Woo Jin rushed upstairs to retrieve it. They quickly filled 2 bags with gold coins and ran back outside. By the time they returned, the gang had already arrived and blocked both vehicles. The 3 friends jumped into their cars and sped away. Jam Yong and the others immediately gave chase. During the pursuit, the attackers repeatedly rammed Heon-jeon's car. Fortunately, her high-performance vehicle allowed her to keep control. At one point, she struck Jam Yong's car and forced it out of the chase. He quickly switched to another vehicle and continued pursuing them. When the chase entered an underpass, Jian drove in front while Heon-ju stayed behind to block the attackers. Whenever the pursuing vehicles tried to pass, she cut them off. Eventually, she accelerated and collided with one of the gang's cars. The impact caused the vehicle to overturn. However, Heon-jeon's own car was badly damaged and could no longer continue. She and Woo Jin grabbed the bags of gold and escaped on foot. When Jian saw what had happened, he quickly cleared space inside his vehicle by moving some of the boxes of money. This created enough room for his friends. Meanwhile, the criminals continued chasing them. As they ran, Heon-ju and Woo Jin realized the gold bags were slowing them down. To increase their speed, they abandoned the bags and continued toward Jian's vehicle. They finally reached the car, jumped inside, and sped away from the pursuers. Later, Yang Jung informed Chairman Choi that the group had been attacked. He also reported that the valuables stored in the safe had been lost. Chairman Choi's first concern was whether the young people had been injured. When Jian, Woo Jin, and Heon-jo arrived at his residence, Heon-jo immediately apologized for losing the contents of the safe. Chairman Choi barely mentioned the money. Instead, he focused entirely on making sure she was unharmed. His concern deeply touched her. Meanwhile, Bom regained consciousness. Using all of his strength, he broke free from the restraints and escaped from the warehouse. He then took a taxi to a private hospital owned by Mang-gil for treatment. Do-young secretly followed him and discovered the hospital's location. Doctors later confirmed that Bom had suffered a serious ear injury. At the same time, Mang-gil ordered Jun-min to investigate the bookstore owner in hopes of locating Chairman Choi. Back at the residence, Chairman Choi spoke privately with Jian Woo. He thanked both Jian and Woo Jin for everything they had done. He explained that since they had entered his life, his granddaughter seemed much happier. Chairman Choi then revealed that Jian's debt had already been cleared. Because of this, Jian no longer needed to work to repay the 100 million won. Chairman Choi considered the money a reward for helping protect and transport the bookstore funds. He also promised to invest in a new coffee shop for Jian's mother. Despite the generous offer, Jian said he wanted to continue helping Chairman Choi fight against Mang-gil. Chairman Choi told him that it was unnecessary. However, Jian insisted that he wanted to repay the kindness he had received. Later, Yang Jung prepared a sushi feast for everyone. Do-young joined the gathering as well. During the meal, Do-young warned Jian and Woo Jin about the risks ahead. He explained that if they became involved in criminal investigations, they might damage their boxing careers and lose future opportunities in the ring. Even after hearing the warning, both young men remained determined. They promised to stay involved until the conflict was over. Everyone agreed to stand together and face whatever challenges lay ahead. Yang Jung then announced that their next move would begin that very night. To prepare them, he started teaching Jian and Woo Jin combat techniques and defensive skills, including how to handle Japanese-style knives in dangerous situations. Determined to prepare for the coming conflict, Do-young selected a suitable motorcycle for Haeyeon-ju to use during missions. He then began training her in advanced riding techniques. At the same time, he taught her how to use a baton effectively while moving at high speed. Later, Do-young positioned himself in an underground parking area, while Haeyeon-ju monitored the surroundings from above. When Jun-min's vehicle entered the area, Haeyeon-ju immediately alerted Do-young. Do-young accelerated on his motorcycle and swept past Jun-min. As he passed, he struck with a blade and left Jun-min injured before disappearing from sight. Several of Jun-min's associates quickly responded and pursued Do-young on their own motorcycles. They repeatedly tried to ram him and force him off the road. Seeing the situation, Haeyeon-ju rushed in to help. Using her baton, she struck several attackers and created an opening for Do-young to escape. Meanwhile, Yang Jung, Jian Woo, and Woo Jin secretly entered Mang-gil's private hospital. Inside, Yang Jung spotted Jam Yong entering an elevator and heading upstairs. The three immediately took the stairs to intercept him. As soon as Jam Yong stepped out of the elevator, Yang Jung moved into action. He quickly subdued him and forced him toward the stairwell. Several guards attempted to intervene. However, John and Woo Jin stopped them and cleared the path. Jam Yong tried to escape, but Yang Jung overpowered him and rendered him unconscious. After securing him, Yang Jung contacted Chairman Choi. The group then transported Jam Yong to a secluded property owned by Do-young. Once there, Jam Yong was restrained. Chairman Choi called and instructed them to keep him there because he wanted to teach him a lesson and have the younger generation witness it. John, Woo Jin, and Haeyeon-ju were told to assist with preparations. As questioning began, Yang Jung and Do-young attempted to pressure Jam Yong into revealing information. Despite their efforts, he refused to cooperate. The atmosphere became increasingly uncomfortable. Unable to watch any longer, Haeyeon-ju stepped outside. When Chairman Choi later arrived, she asked why he wanted her to witness such events. Chairman Choi explained that the conflict ahead would be dangerous. He was uncertain how it would end and wanted the younger generation to understand the harsh realities of dealing with people like Mang-gil. Afterward, Chairman Choi spoke privately with Jam Yong. Rather than using force, he relied on psychological pressure. Chairman Choi explained that among Mang-gil's trusted associates, Jam Yong probably understood him better than anyone else. According to Chairman Choi, Mang-gil was ruthless and only valued people as long as they were useful. The moment a subordinate became a liability, he would abandon them without hesitation. Chairman Choi then explained that if he simply sent Mang-gil a photo of Jam Yong in custody, Mang-gil might assume that everything had already been revealed. In that situation, Jam Yong himself could become a target. The idea deeply unsettled him. Chairman Choi then offered another possibility. If Jam Yong cooperated and told the truth, Chairman Choi promised to help him start a new life somewhere safe. After thinking it over, Jam Yong finally agreed to talk. He revealed that he had worked for Mang-gil for 5 years. His responsibility was to make sure Mang-gil's illegal activities stayed hidden from investigators. Jam Yong admitted that he had gathered compromising evidence on powerful individuals and used it for blackmail. One of those targets had been the heir of the Link Group. According to him, the pressure created by that evidence was used to influence major business decisions. plans, including plans involving a 40-story hotel. Jam Yong further claimed that dozens of similar recordings existed. All of them were stored on a hard drive hidden inside a safe at Mang Gil's residence. The safe contained a remote self-destruct system. If Mang Gil activated it from his phone, the contents could be destroyed immediately. Jam Yong explained that the hard drive was one of Mang Gil's most important assets. If investigators ever obtained it, the evidence could expose many crimes. Chairman Choi listened carefully to everything. He assured Jam Yong that he would receive medical treatment and that arrangements would be made for his protection. Jam Yong's phone was also confiscated to prevent any contact with Mang Gil's organization. Chairman Choi then asked another important question. He wanted to know where Mang Gil had hidden the stolen gold. Jam Yong replied that only Bom knew the answer. According to him, Bom was completely loyal to Mang Gil and would never reveal the location willingly. Elsewhere, Mang Gil went to meet Director Hong, who was speaking with his cousin, Officer Kyong. During the meeting, Mang Gil brought up the recent attack on one of his subordinates. He claimed that a man on a motorcycle had carried out the assault. Mang Gil then urged Officer Kyong to investigate and find the attacker's whereabouts. Mang Gil read the motorcycle's license plate number to Officer Kyong and gave him 5 hours to identify the rider. He threatened that if the investigation failed, a compromising video involving Director Hong would be released online. To make sure no one interfered, Mang Gil also confiscated Director Hong's phone. Meanwhile, Yang Jung and Du Young drove Jian Woo and Wu Jin home. During the trip, they explained why Mang Gil was so determined to open a casino inside the Link Group's hotel. According to them, Mang Gil wanted to use the reputation of the powerful business family to operate a legal casino. He then planned to connect the casino to his lending business. The more people gambled, the more people would fall into debt. As a result, his profits would continue to grow. Wu Jin asked whether the casino would only be open to foreign visitors. Yang Jung immediately replied that Mang Gil had never cared much about following regulations. At the same time, Chairman Choi was speaking privately with Heon Ju in another vehicle. He revealed that Mang Gil had stolen 20 billion won from him in the past. Chairman Choi then recalled a promise he had made. If everything was resolved and life returned to normal after the pandemic, he planned to take Heon Ju to Rome. He joked that he might even send her 2 bodyguards to accompany her. The conversation became warm and cheerful as they discussed future plans. Later, Chairman Choi invited everyone to his home for a small celebration. The group gathered to review recent events and discuss their next steps. Meanwhile, Officer Kyong worked tirelessly to identify the motorcycle rider. Back at Chairman Choi's house, everyone agreed that locating Mang Gil's hidden hard drive was the key to bringing him down. Feeling optimistic, they raised their glasses and celebrated their progress. Most of the adults enjoyed drinks together. John and Wu Jin, however, chose soft drinks instead. As the evening continued, Yang Jung and Du Young sat down for a private conversation. During the discussion, Du Young revealed that he would become a father in 2 months. Yang Jung was surprised and jokingly scolded him for not sharing the news earlier. He then handed Du Young some money and told him to buy healthy food for his wife. After the gathering ended, Du Young took a taxi home. Elsewhere, Director Hong continued pressuring Officer Kyong to find the motorcycle rider before the threatening video could be released. After hours of reviewing surveillance footage, Kyong finally found something useful. He spotted 2 motorcycles entering a particular property. He recorded the address and immediately contacted Mang Gil. As soon as Mang Gil received the information, he mobilized his men and headed there. Inside the property, the group searched for clues. They discovered a photograph of Du Young and his wife. They also noticed signs suggesting that someone had recently been held there. Nearby, Mang Gil spotted a bucket containing salt water. This led him to suspect that Jam Yong had already revealed important information. Soon afterward, one of the men found a photocopy of Du Young's identification card. With a possible lead in hand, the entire group headed toward Du Young's home. Late that night, Du Young and his pregnant wife were asleep when they heard a knock at the door. A voice from outside claimed to be a neighbor. As his wife approached the entrance, Du Young became suspicious. He looked through the crack in the door and immediately realized that criminals had arrived. Without hesitation, he rushed his wife back inside. He briefly considered escaping through another route. However, his wife was pregnant and could not move quickly enough. Du Young told her to call the police. Then he embraced her and placed a hand on her stomach. Knowing the danger ahead, he silently said goodbye to both his wife and unborn child. Moments later, the attackers broke through the glass door and stormed inside. Du Young fought back fiercely. Using knives and household objects, he managed to stop several intruders. Despite his efforts, the overwhelming numbers eventually brought him down. He was struck repeatedly and seriously injured. His wife cried helplessly as the attackers took control of the house. Mang Gil then entered. He told Du Young that his family could be spared if he revealed Yang Jung's location. Even in terrible pain, Du Young refused to cooperate. Meanwhile, Chairman Choi and the others were enjoying a meal prepared by Jian-woo's mother. Chairman Choi suggested that Jian and Hyun-ju help transport Jian's mother to work at the orphanage, where she would be safer. She agreed and began preparing her belongings. At the same time, Yang Jung returned to his sushi restaurant. When he arrived, he sensed that something was wrong. The employee responsible for watching the shop was nowhere to be seen. Yang Jung changed into his chef's uniform and entered the restaurant. Inside, he found Mang-gil waiting for him. Surprised, Yang Jung demanded to know how he had been found. Mang-gil replied that Do-young had led him there. Yang Jung immediately asked about Do-young and his family. Mang-gil responded with a cold smile. The answer filled Yang Jung with rage. He rushed forward and attacked. However, Mang-gil had prepared for the confrontation. A hidden blade beneath his shoe struck Yang Jung's legs during the fight. Even after being wounded, Yang Jung fought back and managed to land a strike of his own. But Mang-gil was protected by hidden body armor. The battle intensified. Mang-gil stabbed Yang Jung, causing him to collapse. Refusing to give up, Yang Jung drew a long blade and prepared for another round of combat. The deadly confrontation continued. During the fight, Yang Jung nearly managed to break through Mang-gil's protective armor. However, Mang-gil quickly counterattacked. The battle turned in his favor, and Yang Jung was ultimately defeated. Afterward, Mang-gil ordered all of his men to head to Chairman Choi's residence. One of the attackers secretly entered the property and unlocked the door from the inside. The rest of the gang quickly rushed in. Woo-jin noticed the intruders and immediately sounded the alarm. Chairman Choi ordered everyone else to head for the basement. Determined to protect them, Woo-jin stayed behind and fought alone. He resisted fiercely and managed to hold back several attackers. However, the criminals greatly outnumbered him. Eventually, more of them forced their way into the house and began moving toward the basement. Meanwhile, Chairman Choi entered a hidden room and opened a safe that contained gold and other valuables. Inside, he also retrieved a firearm. After loading it, he prepared for the coming attack. As the intruders approached, Chairman Choi defended himself and managed to stop several of them. Despite his efforts, the attackers continued advancing. The overwhelming numbers eventually caught up with him. A violent struggle followed, and Chairman Choi was seriously injured. Soon afterward, Bomb arrived and overpowered him. Moments later, Mang-gil entered the room. He stood before Chairman Choi and looked at the gold stored inside the safe. The two men exchanged a final conversation. In the end, Chairman Choi lost his life. Afterward, Mang-gil and his men took the gold and set the house on fire to destroy any remaining evidence. Later, Jian-woo and Hyun-ju returned to the property. By the time they arrived, the house was already engulfed in flames. John rushed inside and managed to carry Woo-jin to safety. Meanwhile, Hyun-ju made her way to the basement. There, she discovered that Chairman Choi was gone. Overcome with grief, she broke down in tears while holding him. As the fire continued spreading, Jian was forced to pull her out of the building. Woo-jin was rushed to the hospital. He had lost a dangerous amount of blood. Unfortunately, the hospital was facing a blood shortage because of the ongoing COVID-19 situation. Without hesitation, Jian volunteered to donate blood. Even after the nurses warned him that more blood was still needed and that he had already given enough, Jian continued begging them to help save his friend. He explained that he was a boxer and could endure it. Later, while waiting outside, Hyun-ju blamed herself for everything that had happened. She felt responsible for the chain of events that led to the tragedy. After Jian finished donating blood, he went outside to find her. However, she had disappeared. He repeatedly called her phone, but she never answered. A short time later, a doctor emerged from the operating room. The surgery had been successful. Woo-jin had survived. Hearing the news, Jian burst into tears of relief and thanked the medical staff. At the same time, the weight of everything that had happened finally hit him. He sat down, held his head in his hands, and cried. Not long afterward, Jian and Woo-jin moved to a remote countryside area. There, they focused on rebuilding their strength and improving their fighting skills. Every day, they trained relentlessly. They ran long distances, lifted weights, and followed strict exercise routines. Their military discipline helped them push through the intense training. Over time, both men developed powerful physiques and became stronger than ever. They were currently staying with Driver O. When Driver O saw how hard they were training for revenge, he immediately called them over. He warned them to stop. Jian insisted that they could defeat Mang-gil. Driver O disagreed. He reminded them that even highly skilled veterans like Yang Jung and Do-young had fallen. If those experienced fighters could not win, he questioned how the two young men expected to succeed. Jian responded that he intended to follow Chairman Choi's teachings. Rather than fighting alone, he planned to gather people who had suffered because of Mang-gil. Together, they would bring him down. Even so, Driver O remained unconvinced. Later, Driver O visited Chairman Choi's grave. There, he discovered a letter. The letter was from Hyun-ju. She explained that she had traveled to Rome using a small amount of money Chairman Choi had left for her. According to the letter, staying in Korea made the pain too difficult to bear. Every place reminded her of her grandfather. She also expressed her affection and gratitude toward Driver O. Finally, she apologized for leaving without saying goodbye. After returning home, Driver O called Jian and Woojin outside. He handed them a suitcase filled with money. He explained that it was part of Chairman Choi's final preparations. Chairman Choi had arranged a place for them to stay in Seoul and wanted them to continue carefully. The two young men bowed respectfully and thanked him. They promised that they would not give up. Jian and Woojin then traveled to Seoul with the suitcase. When they arrived at their new residence, they discovered that it belonged to Driver O's niece. She welcomed them, but immediately laid out a long list of house rules. Later, Jian and Woojin discussed their next move. They agreed that they needed allies if they wanted any chance of stopping Mang-gil. The two borrowed a vehicle and drove to meet a moneylender who had once been Woojin's employer. Like many others, he had also suffered financial losses because of Smile Capital. Woojin did his best to persuade him to join their cause. Together, they hoped to build a team strong enough to challenge Mang-gil and expose everything he had done. The former moneylender listened to their proposal but refused to join them. He explained that money could always be earned again, but a person's life could not be replaced. In his opinion, confronting such a dangerous criminal organization was too risky. After leaving, Jian Woo and Woojin continued searching for allies. Their next stop was the director of the bodyguard company, the same man who had originally introduced them to Chairman Choi. His business had recently been targeted by Smile Capital's debt collectors. According to him, hidden clauses had been added to a contract, trapping him in a financial scheme. When Jian and Woojin revealed that the organization was controlled by Mang-gil, the director was shocked. They also informed him that Chairman Choi had been killed. They explained that two of Chairman Choi's trusted allies had also lost their lives. Hearing the news, the director broke down in tears. Chairman Choi had once helped him during a difficult period of his life. Later, Jian and Woojin tracked down Jam Young, a former member of the organization. The two questioned him about Smile Capital's current activities. During the conversation, they learned that Jun Min, whose throat had previously been injured, had survived. John then asked whether Mang-gil's casino project had officially opened. Jam Young replied that it had not. The Link Group was still disputing parts of the agreement, preventing the casino from moving forward. Woojin then took a photo of Jam Young and warned him not to reveal their meeting. Otherwise, the information would find its way back to his superiors. John next asked whether there was a way to contact the Link Group's heir. Jam Young admitted that he did not know. With no other leads, the two searched online for information. Eventually, they discovered that the heir was Director Hong, whose real name was Min Beom. While researching, Driver O's niece suddenly returned home. She immediately complained about them using her computer without permission. Woojin apologized and promised it would only happen once. Using social media, they eventually found Min Beom's account and sent him a private message. Meanwhile, Min Beom was meeting with Mang-gil. The meeting quickly became tense. Mang-gil criticized him for failing to finalize the casino agreement. Min Beom explained that his father still had not approved the project. Mang-gil responded with threats. He warned that if the agreement was not completed, he would manipulate the contract himself. He also threatened to release embarrassing footage and destroy Min Beom's reputation. After the confrontation, Min Beom returned to his car and broke down emotionally. At that moment, he received a mysterious message. The sender claimed to know where the hard drive containing the damaging footage was hidden. The message also promised help in bringing down Mang-gil. Min Beom immediately showed the message to Officer Kyung. Kyung advised him to meet with the sender. Soon afterward, Min Beom and Kyung arranged a meeting with Jian Woo and Woojin at a bar. Both men enjoyed drinking and insisted on welcoming their guests properly. Woojin explained that he had suffered a serious injury and could not drink alcohol. Jian also tried to refuse. However, Kyung insisted that they share a few drinks together. Eventually, Jian agreed. To everyone's surprise, Jian had an extremely high alcohol tolerance. While the others became increasingly intoxicated, he remained calm and clear-headed. As the night continued, Min Beom finally opened up. Overcome with emotion, he spoke honestly about the pressure and suffering he had endured. He explained how Mang-gil had used compromising material to control and manipulate him. At one point, he even tearfully referred to Jian as family. The next morning, Min Beom and Kyung woke up with little memory of the previous night. Jian explained that they had all ended up resting at the same location. The four men later gathered around a table and shared a simple meal of instant noodles prepared by Jian and Woojin. After breakfast, they began discussing a strategy to stop Mang-gil. Together, they met at the Link Group building and reviewed possible plans. Their goal was to gain access to Mang-gil's phone and use it to neutralize the hard drive containing his secret files. A hacker assisting the team explained that there were two possible methods. The first option was to connect Mang-gil's phone to the building's Wi-Fi network and gain access that way. The second option involved having him scan a COVID-19 check-in QR code upon entering the building. If he used his phone to scan the code, they would have an opportunity to access access the device remotely. Min Byom worried about what would happen if Mang Gil discovered the plan. His fear of Mang Gil was obvious, and he remained extremely nervous. Officer Kyung pulled him aside and tried to reassure him. Soon afterward, the team finished preparing cameras and other technical equipment needed for the operation. Meanwhile, Mang Gil arrived at the building to finalize discussions with Min Byom. As he entered the lobby, a staff member politely asked him to scan a COVID-19 QR code before proceeding. Mang Gil scanned the QR code with his phone as requested. However, the hacker could not find the security application they were targeting. Tiong Woojin and Jian Woo immediately became worried. Meanwhile, Mang Gil entered the meeting room and shook hands with Min Byom. Min Byom looked extremely nervous whenever he faced Mang Gil. As the team monitored the situation, one of the officers noticed something important. Mang Gil was carrying two phones. The device he had used to scan the QR code was not the one they needed to access. The hacker quickly explained that they now had to find another way. Their new objective was to make Mang Gil connect the correct phone to the building's Wi-Fi network. Min Byom entered the surveillance room. Kyung explained the situation and said they needed his help. He suggested that Min Byom privately ask Mang Gil to delete the compromising video before signing the contract. At first, Min Byom refused. He admitted that he was terrified of Mang Gil. Just seeing him made his hands and legs tremble. Kyung encouraged him and promised to support him. Jian also reassured him and said they would protect him. Gathering all his courage, Min Byom returned to the meeting room. He asked Mang Gil to speak with him privately. During their conversation, Min Byom demanded that the video be deleted before any agreement was signed. Mang Gil claimed that the file was stored at home and would be removed after the contract was completed. Min Byom refused to accept that answer. He accused Mang Gil of trying to deceive him. In response, Mang Gil took out his phone and opened the video. He pretended he was about to delete it. However, Min Byom insisted on handling the process himself. Otherwise, he said he would not sign the contract. For the first time, Min Byom openly stood up to Mang Gil. He warned that a single phone call could trigger an investigation into the company and lead to massive tax audits. Mang Gil smiled and seemed impressed by his newfound confidence. He then handed over the phone. The moment Min Byom received it, he connected it to the building's Wi-Fi network. The hacker immediately announced that he had located the security application. He quickly gained access to the system connected to the safe. Within moments, he was ready to execute the operation. After receiving confirmation from the team, the hacker activated the process. At Mang Gil's house, the hard drive hidden inside the safe was destroyed. Kyung celebrated the success of the operation. He told Jian and Woo Jin that they could now search Mang Gil's phone for evidence and potentially bring him to justice. Min Byom thanked Jian for helping him overcome his fear. He even offered to pay for surgery to remove the scar on Jian's face. Jian politely refused. He explained that the scar reminded him of everything he had been through. Because of it, he had met many important people and become stronger. Elsewhere, Mang Gil was celebrating the successful contract signing with his associates. When he returned home, he noticed a strange burning smell. Suspicious, he rushed to the safe. Opening it, he discovered that the hard drive inside had been completely destroyed. Furious, Mang Gil shouted in anger. He then retrieved another phone from a hidden compartment and called a mysterious contact. Mang Gil asked the person to investigate the whereabouts of an older man connected to his enemies. The mysterious contact turned out to be a corrupt officer working within a major crimes unit. After receiving the phone, the officer examined its contents. While searching through the data, he found Driver O's phone number. At that moment, Officer Kyung entered the office. Kyung casually mentioned that he was investigating a major loan sharking operation. He also said that he had recently obtained a list of victims. The corrupt officer immediately became suspicious. As soon as Kyung left, he secretly contacted Mang Gil. He informed him about the ongoing investigation. Mang Gil ordered him to find out exactly who was involved. He also asked how soon they could locate Driver O. The officer replied that he should have the information by the following morning. Satisfied, Mang Gil promised a reward and ended the call. After obtaining Driver O's location, Mang Gil's men began searching for him. They questioned people throughout the area and used intimidation to gather information. Eventually, they visited a rice shop. The owner recognized Driver O and mentioned that he often delivered supplies there. Following the lead, the gang headed toward Driver O's residence. Meanwhile, Jian and Woo Jin continued questioning Jam Young. They wanted information about Bomb, the powerful enforcer who knew where Mang Gil had hidden Chairman Choi's stolen gold. Jam Young demanded 1 million won in exchange for the information. Unexpectedly, Jian offered him only a small amount instead. The discussion continued as they searched for new leads. Suddenly, they received a call connected to Bomb. Shortly afterward, they were shown a photograph of Driver O being captured. The situation immediately became urgent. A message instructed them to come to a shopping mall within an hour. The caller warned them not to involve anyone else. At the same time, Driver O's granddaughter prepared to take action. Determined to rescue her grandfather, she grabbed her bow and arrows. Having competed in major archery tournaments, she was highly skilled. When Jian and Woo Jin suggested that she stay behind, she demonstrated her abilities. After seeing her accuracy and confidence, the two realized she was serious about joining the mission. Woo Jin immediately contacted the director of the bodyguard company and asked for help. As soon as he heard the situation, the director removed the cast from from his injured arm. He prepared himself for battle and quickly joined Jianwu's group. The four of them split into two teams and entered the building from different directions. Jianwu and Wu Jin entered through the main entrance. Meanwhile, Bomb ordered his men to eliminate them. Without hesitation, Jian and Wu Jin fought back. The two worked together and defeated the attackers one after another. The remaining thugs became frightened when they saw how skilled the pair were. Fighting with nothing but their fists, Jian and Wu Jin pushed forward through the building. At the same time, Damon provided support from above using her bow. Her precise shots prevented several enemies from advancing. One of the gang leaders attempted to reach her position. However, the director of the bodyguard company intercepted him. After defeating several more opponents, Jian finally reached Bomb. He stepped forward and landed a powerful punch that knocked Bomb to the ground. Wu Jin quickly joined the fight to assist him. Elsewhere, the gang leader continued battling the bodyguard director. Realizing that Damon's archery skills were becoming a major problem, he attempted to escape. The director chased after him and tried to stop him. Although he was briefly knocked down, Wu Jin arrived just in time to help. By now, Damon had run out of arrows. Back on the main floor, Jian continued attacking Bomb with a series of precise strikes. The attacks left Bomb stunned. However, Bomb managed to grab Jian and put him in a chokehold. Jian fought his way free and knocked him down once again. At the same time, Wu Jin defeated the gang leader. After the battle ended, the group tied both men up. They questioned the captured leader and demanded to know where Driver O was being held. The bodyguard director threatened him with harsh consequences if he refused to talk. Terrified, the leader finally revealed the location. The group loaded both prisoners into a vehicle. Jian then asked the bodyguard director to stay behind and continue questioning Bomb. Their goal was to learn where Mang Gil had hidden Chairman Choi's stolen gold. Meanwhile, Jian, Wu Jin, and Damon headed toward the fish farm mentioned by the captured leader. They hoped to rescue Driver O before it was too late. On the way, Jian contacted Officer Kyong and informed him of the location. After hearing the news, Kyong contacted one of his sources and requested immediate assistance. Unfortunately, the source was secretly working for Mang Gil. The moment he received the information, he alerted Mang Gil. Realizing the danger, Mang Gil ordered his men to clean up the area and move Driver O before anyone arrived. As a result, when the authorities reached the fish farm, they found nothing. Soon afterward, Jian's group arrived as well. They handed the captured gang leader over to Kyong. Jian explained that some of the criminals had escaped earlier and likely warned their superiors. Meanwhile, the bodyguard director continued interrogating Bomb. Despite all efforts, Bomb refused to reveal the location of the stolen gold. When Jian returned, the situation suddenly changed. Bomb injured himself in a desperate attempt to avoid questioning. Jian immediately ordered Wu Jin to call an ambulance. The bodyguard director became frustrated. He pointed out that if Bomb died, they might never learn where the gold was hidden. Jian replied that no piece of information was worth a person's life. Elsewhere, Kyong stopped at a coffee shop to buy a drink. Unbeknownst to him, someone had tampered with it. After taking a few sips, he began feeling dizzy. Suspicious, he returned to the shop and discovered that the real owner had been restrained. Realizing he had been poisoned, Kyong rushed to find help. He asked for salt and used it to force himself to vomit, reducing the effects of the poison. At the same time, Mang Gil launched another attack. He sent people to target two members of Kyong's investigation team. Their involvement in the case had made them targets. Not long afterward, Jian received a phone call from Mang Gil. Mang Gil ordered him to come to the fish farm at 9 o'clock that night. He warned Jian not to involve the police. If he did, Driver O would pay the price. Mang Gil also claimed that he had already dealt with Kyong and several of their allies. He warned Jian not to try any tricks. Finally, he threatened Jian's mother before ending the call. After hearing the conversation, Damon insisted on coming along. Jian pulled Wu Jin aside to discuss the situation. He explained that if anything happened to Driver O, he did not want Damon to suffer another heartbreaking loss. Wu Jin understood his concerns but disagreed. He reminded Jian that their earlier setbacks happened because they had been separated. This time, they needed to stay together. According to Wu Jin, their best chance of success was to fight as a team. Eventually, the three agreed on a plan. They drove to the fish farm to confront Mang Gil. Some allies remained outside to provide support and watch the surroundings. Jian and Wu Jin entered the facility together. Inside, Mang Gil was already waiting. Driver O could be seen lying on the ground nearby. At Mang Gil's command, the remaining thugs moved into attack. Without hesitation, Jian and Wu Jin charged forward. Working side by side, they began defeating the attackers one after another. Mang Gil realized that his men could not stop Jian Wu and Wu Jin. Seeing his situation worsening, he grabbed Driver O and held a knife to his neck. He ordered Jian and Wu Jin to stop moving. Then he commanded his remaining men to attack them. At that moment, Damon raised her bow and prepared to fire. She shouted for Jian Wu and Wu Jin to get down. A second later, she released an arrow that struck Mang Gil in the shoulder. Taking advantage of the distraction, Jian and Wu Jin quickly defeated the remaining attackers. Mang Gil was rushed to a vehicle by his subordinates, and they escaped from the scene. As a result, the group successfully rescued Driver O. Shortly afterward, the police arrived and arrested the criminals who had been left behind. During the investigation, officers discovered evidence that connected the fish farm to several serious crimes. The location had been used for illegal activities carried out by Mang Gil's organization. The authorities also searched Mang Gil's home. Only his wife was present at the time. Inside the house, investigators discovered numerous phones belonging to victims. Further investigations exposed the corrupt officer who had been secretly helping Mang Gil. He was arrested on charges related to bribery and other crimes. Meanwhile, Mang Gil had disappeared and became a wanted fugitive. Min Beom admitted that he could not sleep peacefully while Mang Gil remained free. Jian promised that they would continue searching for him. Jian believed that Zhang Do, one of Mang Gil's former associates, might know how he planned to escape the country. After looking into Zhang Do's whereabouts, the only lead they found was his bank account. Jam Yong suggested a clever plan. He told them that Zhang Do was likely desperate for money. If they transferred funds to his account and included a phone number in the transaction details, he would probably make contact. Jian asked how much money they should send. Jam Yong suggested 10 million won. The plan worked. Shortly after the transfer, Zhang Do called back. He immediately recognized Jian as one of Chairman Choi's former allies. Jian explained that Mang Gil was now a wanted man and that they needed help locating him. Zhang Do listened carefully before asking how much he would be paid. Jian asked him to name a price. Zhang Do demanded 1 billion won and gave them 4 days to transfer it. Jian and Wu Jin checked the money driver O had given them. Unfortunately, they only had around 300 million won. With no other choice, they approached Min Beom for assistance. Min Beom worried that Zhang Do might take the money and disappear. Jian replied that if Zhang Do betrayed them, he and Wu Jin would track him down themselves. After hearing Jian's confidence, Min Beom agreed to help. Once Zhang Do received the payment, he kept his word. He gathered information and eventually contacted Jian. Zhang Do revealed that Mang Gil planned to leave the country by train before continuing his escape route toward Ho Chi Minh City. According to him, Mang Gil had already arranged protection through corrupt contacts abroad. Zhang Do also provided the phone number of a railway employee who could help them. After receiving the information, Jian and Wu Jin said goodbye to driver O and Daman. They then set off on their final mission. Using the contact they had been given, the two managed to secretly board a ship connected to Mang Gil's escape route. Once on board, they searched every section of the vessel. While exploring the ship, Wu Jin encountered several of Mang Gil's remaining associates. Using quick thinking and his fighting skills, he managed to neutralize them. Soon afterward, Wu Jin came face to face with Bom. A fierce fight broke out between them. Bom used his strength to throw Wu Jin down a staircase. Despite the setback, Wu Jin recovered quickly. Using the narrow environment to his advantage, he avoided Bom's attacks and eventually landed a powerful knockout punch. Bom collapsed and could no longer continue fighting. Meanwhile, Jian finally found Mang Gil. The moment he saw him, Jian charged forward. A brutal fight followed. Realizing that he was losing, Mang Gil attempted to escape. He drew a knife and continued resisting. At one point, he struck Jian and knocked him down. However, Jian refused to give up. He climbed back up and continued pursuing him. After an intense struggle, Jian gained the upper hand. When Mang Gil tried to attack again, Jian countered with a series of powerful punches. The blows finally brought Mang Gil down. The long pursuit was finally over. Afterward, Jian jokingly told Wu Jin that they had spent so much time chasing criminals that they had almost become assassins themselves. Wu Jin laughed and replied that they should return to being real boxers. The two then recovered the stolen gold. When the ship reached its destination, Jian contacted Min Beom. He informed him that they had found the gold and successfully stopped Mang Gil. Min Beom then asked about Mang Gil's phone. Jian recovered it and passed the information along. Min Beom immediately contacted Kyong and shared the good news. Kyong explained that international authorities would handle the remaining legal procedures. The conversation then turned to the recovered gold. Min Beom asked what they wanted to do with it. Jian remembered Chairman Choi's lifelong dream of helping people in need. He said the money should be used for the same purpose. Min Beom asked whether they wanted to keep any of it for themselves. Jian admitted that the thought had crossed his mind. However, he explained that the gold never belonged to them. Min Beom estimated that the recovered gold was worth nearly 84 billion won. He suggested creating a welfare foundation or helping fund a hospital. Jian then asked whether the hospital could be named after Chairman Choi. Min Beom smiled and said it might be difficult, but he would do his best. As a reward for their efforts, he gave Jian and Wu Jin 2 gold bars each. He also promised additional compensation from his own funds. After everything was over, Jian and Wu Jin returned to Korea. They went straight to the orphanage to reunite with Jian's mother. The reunion was emotional and heartfelt. She hugged Jian tightly and immediately asked about Wu Jin. Jian smiled and told her that everyone was finally safe. The three of them shared a warm embrace. Their long journey had finally come to an end. The story ends here. Thank you for watching. See you in the next video.